Oh boy, today you are in for a treat. Just go ahead and get your scraps because we are going to need them. We are making a 3D tumbling blocks with borders. Except today, I'm going to do something with them that I've never done before. This can be a total disaster. And before we're done, I have a little surprise for you. Let's do it. I have sorted from my scrap pile 3 different fabrics. A light one, a medium, and a darker one. So for my light, I have this white fabric, the medium will be the orange, and the darker will be the blue one. You can pick whatever fabrics you want as long as you keep this rule. We need 3 different shades, okay? Light, medium, and dark. So I'm just going to cut 2 strips for each fabric, and for the pattern fabric, it's 3 inches wide. For the white fabric, it's 3.5 inches. Now, essentially, we are just going to sew each of the 3 together with the white in the middle, and we do need to use a 1/4 inch foot, okay? This is very important for the math with these cubes. This is what we're left with. First thing we're going to need is a 60-degree ruler or a ruler that marks 60 degrees. The second thing you absolutely need is a rotary cutter that has a very sharp blade. Some of you have been asking me about this colorful little blade I have been using lately. This cool blade is from the Fabric Hut, who is sponsoring this video. I've been using it for the last 2 months or so, and I can tell you a couple of things about it already. But back to our project. Things to know about the cuts we're going to make. 60-degree angle is a must, and for the blue one, we want it to lean left to right, and for the orange one, we want it to lean right to left, okay? They cannot lean on the same side. We have our 60-degree line resting on the bottom of our piece, and we are ready to cut. We need 4 of each strip for the 7 cubes I want to make. I do not cut well with my right hand. Make sure that the 60-degree line is still in place. You can see here that it's not. Here we have the 60-degree, but as it goes up, it runs away from us. So let me just go back, and this is also why you want a really sharp blade, because sometimes it's just, yeah, it's this little bit. Now, the most surprising thing about this blade when I compare it to the one I used to use, which is probably the most well-known blade brands out there, is how I have been using it every day, practically every day for the last 2 months, and it's still going. I mean, it's still cutting pretty perfectly like it did the first day. In fact, let me show you real quick. I have this little piece of fabric right here. Let me fold it over and see how many layers I can make. These are how many layers I'm going to cut. And that's it. Just like that, no hesitations, clean cut. This is really, really sharp, guys. And I have been using this blade for 2 months or so. Now with the orange, we need the ruler to go that way. Okay, this is important. They cannot both lean on the same side. They are going to be completely in different directions, which is exactly what we want. Put my 60-degree line on the bottom of my piece, and I'm going to make my first cut. And now we're good to go. 3 inches. Always checking our line. Okay guys, so these are the 2 kinds of pieces we have right now. What most people are afraid about making these kinds of cubes is the Y seam. And by doing the way I am doing this, there won't be a Y seam. We are going to have to cut our white diamond in half, okay? So we go back to our 60-degree line. And guess what? Now we are able to make cubes as simple as this. There's our 3D cube. And now for the surprise. Not only did the Fabric Hut want me to test these blades and see what I thought, they also wanted to make sure you guys were able to try them too. If you're looking for some cool, pretty, very long-lasting blades for your rotary cutter, you can now get these at a one-time huge discount of 50% off by clicking on the link I'm leaving in the description for you. Make sure you get yours before it ends. And if you do end up trying them, don't forget to let me know what you think. Okay guys, it's puzzle time, my favorite time as always. It's so important that the white is a solid, because you don't want when you sew, you don't want that pattern, to notice that it's been sewed out of place. Now we need to make sure all blocks are the same, because what gives us that 3D look is the shade, okay? So we put the lighter fabric, the white, on top, the medium fabric to one side, and the darker fabric to the other, and that way you're mimicking light and shadow and how the light would hit all the cubes if they were indeed 3D, the exact same way. And that's why it looks so cool, okay? You can pick different fabrics and colors for each cube as long as you follow this rule. Light, medium, dark, okay? You look at it and it's just pieces, and then you put it all together and it's something else. It's 3D cubes. It's kind of magic. I love this part. This is the shape I want, this flower-like shape. I just love the overall look of it. Before we sew, let's talk about our borders. With the Y seam, it's kind of simpler in a way. All we need to do, cut this in half, and immediately we have our borders. So essentially we need to sew the cubes first, then add this with 1/4 of an inch seam allowance. I'm going to sew all our cubes together in this flower shape, and then we'll move on to our borders. We're going to sew them in columns and then in rows. Leave 1/4 of an inch corner here and 1/4 of an inch corner here, and we sew it, okay? That's how we get this to be nice and straight. So this is how we sew all our pieces together. Now we sew our rows. And for this one, we will need to nest our seams, okay? We don't want any bulky ends. So we put one on one side and the other one on the other side, and we pin. Our center is complete. You just want to hit the seam right here, and you will want to stop sewing. You can actually draw a line if you want. You will want to stop sewing 1/4 of an inch earlier so that this seam is nice and loose for what we're doing next. And here's our flower. Now let's just go ahead and chop some diamonds real quick for our borders. I am having so much fun with this blade, guys. You know, I used to go through blades like crazy, and this one just keeps going. And then it actually came in a box, you know, 10. I mean, how long will I go without buying new blades if this one is lasting the way it is? And at a 50% discount, I am very happy with the sponsorship. I really, really am. What I'm going to do now is, for each of these triangles, I'm going to mark the 1/4 of an inch seam allowance, so you'll know exactly where to sew and where to stop sewing, okay? Because that's the problem with Y seams. You sew either too much or too little, and you don't hit that angle mark. We hit this corner here, and we pin. And we also want, for convenience, to stop here, okay? Let's sew from this end to this end. That's it. That's all we sew right now. We're going to start in the middle, in the angle, and we are going to sew twice to each end. I can see my dot right in the middle of my foot. So if you have a larger foot, hopefully you have a larger 1/4 of an inch foot, so you can see your markings a little bit better, but I can definitely see it there. So I'm just going to drop my needle, and that's it. It is not moving, guys. And now we just keep going. And we need to do this as slowly as you want. And I think that's it. Yeah, that's right. This is loose, okay? It's completely loose. And this side is properly sewn. So now what we do is we do the exact same thing the other way. And this is a little bit harder, I know, because we need to twist the fabric, but it starts there and it ends right here by the fabric, okay? This is where we stop. I see my pencil marking right at this. So I just drop my needle. So, and I know I'm going to stop there. Let's see, guys. Let's see if I'm right about this. Look at that. The perfect Y seam, and we just did it, and it was so easy. Let's do it again 5 more times. Our corners are pretty spot on. Our Y seams worked like a charm, and this is pretty perfect. Let's go ahead and trim it. And here we have it, guys. I am so happy with this. Thank you to the Fabric Hut for the wonderful blades. Don't forget to check them out, okay? And I'll see you soon. Bye bye.